Hello, everybody. Welcome to the MTG Place podcast. I'm your host, Corey. Joining with me today is Jake. How's it going, Jake?
Hey, how's it going, Corey? How's everybody else doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. I want to plug a couple of our ways you can support us here. We have a TCG Player affiliate link. Thanks to everyone who has used that already. That'll be in the show notes. You can click that. We also have a Patreon you can sign up for at Patreon is Patreon/MTGplace. We got our first one here. We got Alan left, so thank you so much for supporting us. If you want to be shouted out with the possibility, you can sign up like he did, or you can just keep listening, and we like you either way. And then we got Zencastr here. We got zen.ai/the MTG Place is an offer code. You can get 30% off Zencastr Premium. Zencastr is an all-in-one podcast production suite that gives you studio-quality audio and video without needing all the technical know-how. It records each guest locally and then uploads the crystal clear audio and video right to the suite, so you have high-quality raw materials to work with. Again, that's zen.ai/MTG Place if you're thinking about using Zencastr to make a podcast, and you can get 30% off the premium membership. So today we're going to talk about the commander cards in Streets of New Capenna. This is going to be all the cards that are in the 5 commander decks, along with about 7-ish cards that are only in set boosters. So we're just going to go through starting in Wooburg order, read through them, talk about them, and tell you our thoughts. Which commander deck they're in, we don't know for sure. We're just going to talk about all the cards, and if you buy the whole set of 5, you'll end up having them all except for those 7 you can only get in set boosters.
We're also not doing reprints in this episode.
Correct. We're also not going to do reprints, and we're only going to do rares and mythics. Jake, you want to start off reading the first card?
Yeah, so the first card we have is Aerial Extortionist. It's 2 white and 3 generic for a 4/3 flyer. Whenever Aerial Extortionist enters the battlefield or deals combat damage to a player, exile up to 1 target non-land permanent. For as long as that card remains exiled, its owner may cast it. And whenever another player casts a spell from anywhere other than their hand, draw a card.
So I like the bottom part, the white card draw. The first part is just like you're exiling their thing, but they can recast it still, so it's like whatever. It's just like slow them down. It's like bounce.
It slows them down, but it's not as good.
Yeah, it's kind of like bounce, but the drawing cards whenever they cast a spell other than their hand is good, because if they recast that card, then you're going to draw a card.
Yeah, then you get to draw a card, and it'll definitely. It will. There's that one card, the new card in the set that. It synergizes well. It's like if they draw 2 or more cards, then you get some other effect.
Yep. All those decks will be good. So it's all right. Next card, we got Angelic Sleuth. It's 2 and a white for a 2/3 flying angel advisor. Whenever another permanent you control leaves the battlefield, if it had counters on it, investigate, which is make a clue token, which is sacrifice it, draw a card for 2 mana.
Built-in card draw.
Yeah, more card draw. If you have a counters deck, 1/1 counters, any sort of counters deck, it's good in there. You can play it in the Abstan +1/+1 counters deck that I know is a thing.
I'm loving what they're doing with white card draw. Just making it a thing.
Yeah, white is needed card draw.
Versus not having card draw in white for the longest time.
Yep.
All right. Well, my next card that I will be doing is one of my favorites from the entire set. It's one of the cards that's only in set boosters. It's Benny Brax Zoologist. It's a 1 white and 3 generic for a legendary creature, Elf Druid, 3/2. He has Convoke, so if you're in a creature deck, you're going to cast him for 1 white. At the beginning of each end step, if you created a token this turn, draw a card. This card will be busted with Smothering Tithe. Every turn, you're going to be creating tokens every time they play cards, and then you're going to be drawing a card at the end of everyone's turn.
Yeah, and as long as they don't pay for the Smothering Tithe.
Well, yes. if they don't pay for Smothering Tithe.
But yeah, so
It's gonna make a lot more people want to pay for Smothering Tithe.
yes, it is. It's
So I never
also
pay for Smothering Tithe.
also going to be super good in tokens, like any token
Yeah.
deck.
Yep.
So like James's wrist deck, he's going to want that.
Yep.
Good card, probably one of the better cards. You can only get that in set boosters though, so open some packs if you want that. Next up, we got the Boss's Chauffeur. Chauffeur. Can never pronounce the words. It's 4 and a white for a 0/0 elf citizen. Boss Chauffeur. God, what was it again? Chauffeur. Boss's Chauffeur enters the battlefield with a number of 1/1 counters on it equal to 1 plus the number of other creatures you control. Whenever another creature is what is alliance, whenever another creature enters the battlefield of your control, you put a 1/1 counter on it. And when he dies, you create a 1/1 green and white citizen creature token for each 1/1 counter on it. So he comes in big with 1/1 counters, gets more 1/1 counters, and when he dies, you get a bunch of tokens.
I like him with Benny Brax.
Yeah, it seems good with Benny.
That'll be sweet. Might have to make a token deck.
Tokens.
Yeah, he's going to be... I want to build a Benny Brax deck, so might be looking out for that Boss's Chauffeur card as well. Next card is Contractual Safeguard. It's 2 and a white. For an instant, it has Addendum. If you cast a spell during your main phase, put a shield counter on a creature you control. A shield counter is if it would be dealt damage or destroyed. Remove the shield counter from it instead. So you choose, with that card, you choose a kind of counter on a creature you control. Put a counter on that. Put a counter of that kind on each other creature you control. So if it comes in, you put a shield counter. You can put a shield counter on all creatures you control.
That seems really good. So if you play it during your main phase, you like put a shield counter on something, and now all my creatures have shield counters.
Yep. So that it's not necessarily persist, but it's basically auto regenerate.
Yeah.
They have to kill your creatures twice.
And if you already had something with the shield counter, you could just cast it as an instant and respond to like a board wipe, and then make all of your stuff have the shield counter.
Exactly.
It's a pretty good card.
I think that'll be really nice to have.
Next up, we got Damning Verdict. It's 3 white for a sorcery. Destroy all creatures with no counters on them. So it could be good if you're playing this in a counters deck, so like your stuff won't die with it.
Yeah, for sure.
Otherwise, it's kind of situational, and I'd rather just play Wrath.
Yeah, if you're playing a token deck, awesome. If you're not playing a token deck, this card is mediocre. It's a board wipe. Right. But like you said, I'd rather just play Wrath of God.
Yeah, so unless you have creatures with counters on them all the time, I'm probably not playing it.
Yeah. So the next card is Grand Crescendo. It's 2 white and X for an instant that creates X 1/1 green and white citizen creature tokens. Creatures you control gain indestructible till end turn.
That's super good.
I really love this card. It's to me, it's the white heroic intervention.
That's literally what it is. It's the white heroic intervention, and you could pay any extra mana just to make a bunch of tokens that are also indestructible.
Exactly.
That's
but you can literally pay 2 white and 0 for your creatures gain indestructible.
Right.
You don't get the hexproof, but
whatever. Indestructible is the part that most people use.
Indestructible is nice.
That's really good.
For 2 white, I'll take it.
Yep. Next up, we got Jailbreak. It's 1 and a white for a sorcery. Return target permanent card in an opponent's graveyard to the battlefield under their control. When that permanent enters the battlefield, return up to 1 target permanent card with equal or lesser mana from your graveyard to the battlefield. So you play this, you bring back their 1-drop, you can get a land. You bring back their 2-drop, you can get a 1-drop.
I hate this card.
You don't like this card?
I don't like this card at all.
I think it's okay if you're playing a dedicated bring back deck, just because it only costs 2 mana. and most of the other bring back stuff costs 4. But yeah, it kind of sucks. Feels
Is it
bad to
sorcery?
give your opponent stuff.
Yeah. I mean, just sit there. I can picture this. Picture this scenario. I want my Darksteel Colossus back. I'll give them Blightsteel. Never. I would not ever want to do that. Like you're just giving them something. There's scenarios where you give them something worse. Yes, but
I mean, you could use it for mana ramp too. Like you could just give them a land back, and you get a land back as well. Because
it's all. So it's also a dead card if they have nothing in their graveyard.
That's true.
So if you're playing against a Spells Matter deck, they have no creatures in their graveyard. It's a dead card.
Yeah, it feels situational.
It's very situational, and I do not like this card. We'll see what happens with it, but yeah, I don't like that card. A card I do like, however, is Master of Ceremonies. It's a white and 3 for a creature Rhino Druid. It's a 3/4. At the beginning of your upkeep, each opponent chooses money, friends, or secrets. For each player who chose money, you and that player each create a treasure token. For each player who chose friends, you and that player create a 1/1 green and white citizen creature token. For each player who chooses secrets, you and that player each draw a card.
It's a 3/4 Rhino. That's
It's a
good.
3/4 Rhino.
I like the artwork on there. It's pretty cool.
It's pretty sweet.
He's all like blinged out. He's got like a ring on his horn.
Yep, and he's got his fancy pinky out drink.
Yeah. I like it because you're going to get 3 things and everybody else gets 1 thing. So you're netting 2 things every time.
I think you could put that into a Huggy deck or just put it into any deck.
Yeah, really good in mono white if you need because they're probably going to choose draw a card most time and you're going to get cards. Group Hug is great too.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really like to play Group Hug or play with Group Hug, but you could make it in a Group Hug deck, and it would be fun.
Yeah,
it helps everyone out, and then you get more help.
Yeah, I feel most people are going to choose secrets and draw cards, but
most likely.
But that's still everybody draws 1, you draw 3 is still good.
Let's still draw 3 for 4, and you get a 3/4.
Yeah,
I think that's pretty good.
Next up, we got Resourceful Defense. It's 2 and a white for an enchantment. Whenever a permanent you control leaves the battlefield, if it had counters on it, put those counters on target permanent you control. And it has pay 4 and a white activated ability. Move any number of counters from one permanent you control to another you control. So you can move your counters around for 5 mana, and if something dies, you can put the counters on something else.
I like it. It's value.
It feels like the Ozolith, kind of, except for it costs 3 and it has activated ability to just let you move stuff around.
Yeah, it's crappy Ozolith.
Yeah, but if you play Ozolith, you're going to play this.
I still like it.
Yeah, I think it's pretty good.
It's instant, pay 3 mana and you get value.
Yep.
And it's not an instant, it's an enchantment, but as soon as you play this card, you get value from it.
This is true.
So I like it. It's not great. There's better cards, but it works. The next card we have is Boon Evangelist. It's white and 4 for a 3/3 Bird Advisor. It has flying. When it enters the battlefield, support 6, so you're going to put a 1/1 counter on each of up to 6 other target creatures. Whenever a creature with a counter on it attacks one of your opponents, that creature gains flying until end of turn. Godly.
This is good. Yeah, this is really... You love this card? I think this is really good in a token deck or something you're going to have a lot of creatures. Also in a counters deck because it just gives them flying. But unless you have, say you only have 1 creature, you're just going to put a 1/1 on one thing. I don't know.
No, you could put 6 1/1s on one thing.
No, because it's a 1/1 on up to 6 targets. 6 other targets. So you have to have 6 things.
Each. Yeah. I mean, so it's not terrible still.
Yeah, it's still good. It's still good. It's just
It's gonna be a token deck.
yeah, you're
James
just gonna
James is
have to
gonna get
have a
this
lot of
card
stuff
for
on.
his James is gonna get this card for his wrist deck.
Yeah, he should. There's a lot of new cards he needs for his wrist deck.
Yeah, that's true. And this is one of them. Make all of his tokens have flying.
Yep.
Be super good.
Next up, we got Smuggler's Share. It's 2 and a white for an enchantment. At the beginning of each end step, draw a card for each opponent who drew 2 or more cards this turn. Then create a treasure token for each opponent who had 2 or more lands enter this turn. That's pretty good because if your opponent's drawing more cards than you or ramping out mana, you're going to get mana and cards back. It's kind of like Hate
Yeah,
Bear's catch up for white.
I don't hate it. We'll put it that way.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
It's pretty good. It'll come in clutch in some scenarios.
Yeah, it's pretty good. And if you're playing against a lot of fair decks, it's probably going to be bad. But if you're playing against people that are drawing a shit ton of cards or ramping a lot.
Yep. Exactly. Our next card is Tenuous Truce. It's 1 white and 1 for an enchantment where you enchant opponent. At the beginning of enchanted opponent's end step, you and that player each draw a card. When you attack enchanted opponent or a planeswalker they control, or when they attack you or a planeswalker you control, sacrifice Tenuous Truce. This is one of those cards that's only found in set boosters. I think it's going to be good. It's not great, but if you're a group hug player, you'll love it.
I think it's all right because they could just attack you and then.
Yeah, but they're not. They're not getting the draw card. Like it gives them.
Yeah, I guess you both draw, so it gives them like, hey, this is a political truce. We'll both draw cards if you don't attack each other.
Yep, it basically is so like solitary confinement or cards like that, right? It's it gives them incentive to not attack you, whereas those other cards are like, I don't need to destroy that so I can attack you. You're not giving me anything for it,
right?
So I don't know. It would work.
Yeah,
I think you could use it as a ghostly fill in.
Yeah. So that's it for white. What is your favorite white card of all these?
My favorite white card, Benny.
Is Benny? Well,
Yeah.
what do you think is the most powerful? It's probably also Benny.
The most powerful?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think Benny is the most powerful, but it's possible. I think. I don't know. I'd like to say Grand Crescendo's pretty powerful.
Yeah, that's a pretty powerful card.
That could turn the tide of the game.
Yeah, I think my favorite card is this Master of Ceremonies, and I think Grand Crescendo or the Benny is probably the most powerful, just because drawing a card every turn is good in a dedicated token deck. Otherwise, Benny's not great.
But see, to get the token, like you have to make the token to be able to draw the card,
Right.
Which is why I think he lacks a little bit of power. It's not like at the end of each step, at the beginning of each end step, draw a card. Like it's not super powerful. Grand Crescendo can change the tide of a game.
That's true. So could
if someone's like board wipe, you tap all your mana and make 10 1/1 green and white creature tokens, and then your shit's indestructible too. That can change the tide of the game.
That's probably the best one.
You come in next turn with a Creator Hoof Behemoth, win the game.
Yep.
I think that could be really good.
Yep. Now we're going to move on to blue here. So first blue card is Aven Courier. It's a 1 and a blue for a 1/1 flying. When Aven Courier attacks, choose a counter on a permanent you control. Put a counter of that kind on target permanent you control if it doesn't have a counter of that kind. So play this, and then you get to copy a counter, basically, and put it on something else.
Yep. It's pretty decent.
It's decent. I mean, you need a blue-white maybe, or I'm assuming the precon's blue-white something. But
it'll probably be blue-white-green, I would think.
Yeah. Yeah, you would need something that has counters. Because I don't think mono blue has a lot of counters.
Yeah.
And it's a 1/1 flyer. It's
Yep.
good, not great.
Yep. Next card is Cephalid Face Taker. It's blue and 2 for a 1/4 Cephalid Rogue. Cephalid Face Taker can't be blocked. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you may have Cephalid Face Taker become a copy of another target creature until end of turn, except it's 1/4 and has this creature can't be blocked.
So this is good if you're playing like a clone stack, or you have something with like attack triggers that you want to copy, and then you
Yep.
just swing unblockable and get the attack triggers.
Yeah, no, that'll be. I mean, shit, you could make a copy of Crater, or not Crater. Well, you could make a copy of Crater Hoof Behemoth.
But it'd just be a 1/4.
But I was thinking like Blightsteel. You just get in one infect unblockable.
Yeah, I think it's better if you copy
No,
like
obviously better scenarios, but
yeah, like if you copy like say Inferno Titan or something, and then it's like, oh, attack trigger, deal 3 damage.
yep. Because then, so you could get, if you have an Inferno Titan plus this, which makes an Inferno Titan, it's unblocked 3 damage. So
Yep.
I technically unblocked 4 damage, but yeah, it's not bad. It could be fun in some certain scenarios.
Next up is Change of Plans. It's X, 1, and a blue. For an instant, each of X target creatures you control connive. You may have any number of them phase out. So you're going to draw a card for each of the creatures, and then discard a card for each of the creatures. If it's a non-land card, you'll put a 1/1 counter on it, and then you could choose to have it phase out if you want.
I like it.
Yeah, I feel like the phase out part is good, and the fact that you get to connive as well is good because you could just be like, "Oh, I'm going to board wipe. Well, I'm just going to phase my stuff out."
Yep. It'll be another one of those powerful cards that can be game changer. Next card is Extravagant Replication. It's going to be 2 blue and a 4 for an enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, create a token that's a copy of another target non-land permanent you control.
So the fact that this costs 6 kind of sucks, but otherwise it's super powerful, super good. You're going to copy anything in play every single turn. Basically,
Yeah, it's good.
Yours. Like just like if you have this in Sol Ring, let me just make a Sol Ring every turn.
Sol Ring every turn.
Seems good.
It seems good. And you could play this as early as turn like 2.
Yeah, with enough ramp, or if you have a way to cheat it out.
Yeah. Like there's people who I'm sure will try to abuse this.
Yep, and it's also good in the clone deck as well.
Yeah, I might try to abuse it. I don't know. It actually has pretty sweet art too. It's like a female who is like a ghostly tiger tamer.
Yep.
Looks pretty cool to me.
Yeah, the flavor text calls it an Aether Tiger.
An Aether tiger, sure.
Next
Just
up,
one of them? Just one Aether tiger?
Yeah, just one.
Like
Just one Aether Tiger. Yep.
Back to that great flavor text on these cards.
Next card we got is Flawless Forgery. It's 3 blue for a sorcery with casualty 3. As you cast a spell, you may sacrifice a creature with power 3 or greater. If you do, you can copy it and choose new targets for the copy. And then the spell itself does exile an instant sorcery card from opponent's graveyard, copy that card, and you may cast it without paying its mana cost.
Great. I love this card.
So 5 mana, I cast something from your graveyard. If I sack a creature power 3 or greater, I can cast 2 things from your graveyard. Or the same thing twice.
Yep, I love this card.
Seems really good.
You can
especially if you survived like an expropriate or something.
Yeah. Well, and you can double tutor if you want to.
Yep.
I like that. Next card is In Too Deep. It's just 2 blue for an enchantment. It's an enchantment with Split Second, which
didn't think they'd ever reprint Split Second.
Yeah, I didn't know we'd be going back to Split Second. So it's enchant creature, planeswalker, or clue. Enchanted permanent is a colorless clue artifact with 2. Sacrifice this artifact, draw a card, and loses all other abilities. I can't
So,
immediately see what's going on here, but why would you copy a clue to make a clue?
so you enchant a creature, planeswalker, or clue. Enchant permanent is a clue. Yeah, I don't know why you would enchant a clue token to make it a clue token.
Yeah.
But whatever you enchant becomes a clue token, so. Yeah,
I mean,
unless you could play this at instant speed with like if you had Vindelkin or Ori out, you could play it in response to them sacking the artifact to draw a card, and then they wouldn't be able to.
no, so
But
what I think it is that if you make a clue have split second, I guess that's what it does. So you can draw a card at instant speed or split second speed.
which doesn't really matter. But
No, I mean it does. If you need to put something on the stack and you need to draw a card badly,
I
you can
guess.
do it in response. So it basically makes you have a clue at instant speed. But can't you just sacrifice a clue at instant speed anyways?
Yeah, what I'm saying, like the enchantment has split second, not the clue you're making with it. And the enchantment can be cast as a normal sorcery speed, unless you have Vindelkin
Well,
Aura.
what I'm saying is you're not.
They just can't respond to it. The split second's good because they can't respond to it. So they can't like if you play this on their card that has a sacrifice get a land, they can't do that. They just have a clue. But I don't get why you'd ever enchant a clue. So I don't know why that's on there. But
Yeah,
it basically turns any creature or planeswalker into a clue token, which is fantastic. And they can't respond to it by using a sacrifice outlet.
no, yeah, it is good. Like, oh, you have a. Oh, sorry, Siri. It's like, oh, you have a 10/10 trample haste indestructible. Nah,
Nah, it's a clue token.
I mean a 10/10 haste indestructible would be. You'd still take 10 probably, but no, I'm turning that into a clue token. You get to draw a card.
Yeah. That's a pretty
And
good card. Like if you play the Imprison the Moon and stuff like that, this is just better than those. So
yeah, I mean, in Prison of the Moon, they don't get to draw a card, but
I suppose.
it's not bad. We'll give it a thumbs up.
Yeah. Next up, we got Mask of the Schemer. It's 2 and a blue for an artifact equipment. Whenever an equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, it conveys X, or connives X, I mean. Connives X, or X is the amount of damage that is dealt to the player. So you'll draw X cards, discard X, and then put a 1/1 counter on it for each non-land card this way, and the equip cost is 2.
I like it.
It's pretty good. It's basically you're going to loot a bunch whenever you attack with it.
Yep. And then, the rest of what
Possibly
Connive
buff your
does,
creature.
buff your creature. It's not bad. It's not great, but it works. Our next card is Shield Broker. It's 3 and 2 blue for a 3/4 Cephalid Advisor. When Shield Broker enters the battlefield, put a shield counter on target non-commander creature you don't control. You gain control of that creature for as long as it has a shield counter on it. Pretty good.
It's pretty good, except for they could just immediately ping it so they get it back. But
Yes. They'd have to, though.
yeah, but either way, it's still good because you gain control sign. Also, not super great. You can't target commanders, but I mean, whatever.
It's not a huge issue.
It's a 3/4 for 5. It's not super great, but it's not super bad either.
Yep.
And you can always add more shield counters to the card so that you have it for longer.
Exactly. Just infinite shield counters always just have their creature forever and ever.
Yep. The artwork's kind of creepy.
I like it. It's like Cthulhu.
Yeah, like Cthulhu guy wearing a suit.
He's a Cephalid Advisor.
Yeah. Next up, we got the Sinister Concierge. It's 1 and a blue for a 2/1 human wizard. When it dies, you may exile it and put 3 time counters on it. If you do, exile up to 1 target creature and put 3 time counters on it. Each card exiled this way that doesn't have suspend gains suspend. Okay, so this dies, it gains suspend 3 basically, and then you exile some other creature that with 3 counters, then they'll both come back.
I like it.
Yeah, so you can slow down your opponent with it, or you could just, if you have like an ETB thing you want to play again in 3 turns later, you can do that.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting new effect. I've never heard of anything do that before. So
Yeah, it's
yeah,
interesting.
I like it. It'll also be a way, like you said, a way to slow them down.
It also only costs 2, so.
Yeah, and yeah, that's not bad. Next card is Skyway Roberts, 3 and a blue for a 3/3 bird rogue with flying and escape. The escape cost is 3 and a blue and exile 5 other cards from your graveyard. So Skyway Robber escapes with whenever Skyway Robber escapes, deals combat damage to a player, you may cast an artifact, instant, or sorcery spell from among cards exiled with Skyway Robber without paying its mana cost.
So you're going to play it as 4 for a 3/3 flying, immediately want it to die, so that you can play it again as a 3/3 that allows you to play artifact cards that you escaped on it.
Yep. Although, you know, I like a 3/3 flyer for 4 anyways.
Yeah, it's a solid card.
Like, just by itself, it's decent.
It's a very good card to pitch to the Connive's ability.
Yes, 100%.
So you just pitch it and escape it right away.
It's good to pitch to any ability.
Yeah.
So I like that card. It'll be fun.
Next up, we got the Storm of Forms. It's 3 and a blue for an instant. When you cast this spell, copy it. For each kind of counter among permanents you control, you may choose new targets for the copies. Return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. That's kind of crazy.
It's meh.
You think it's meh?
It's slow. It's just slow.
I feel like in the deck you're going to play this, it's at least going to be 4 to bounce 2 things. But like most time you could have, because you could have a shield counter, a 1/1 counter. You can get a trample or vigilance counter probably.
It's still slow.
It is slow, but say majority of the time is going to be 4 for 2 things. Would you play that card?
4 for bounce 2 things? No.
No, you wouldn't play that?
No.
It's okay. I mean, yeah, it's not as good as like Cyclonic Rift or something. But
yeah, I mean, Cyclonic Rift is 2 for bounce a thing, but so it basically, this is 2 Cyclonic Rifts, but you can't overload.
Right.
It's a conditional overload. So I'd rather just pay 7 mana to overload and bounce everything, especially in Commander.
That's true. It's an okay card.
I don't know. It's not horrible. It's not the worst card I've ever seen, but it's just there's strictly better cards.
It's probably one of the cards you'd cut out of the pre-con deck.
Yeah, I'd cut it for a Cyclonic Rift. Next card is Swindler's Scheme. It's 2 and a blue for an enchantment. Whenever an opponent casts a spell from their hand, you may reveal the top card of your library. If it shares a card type with that spell, counter that spell, and that opponent may cast the revealed card without paying its mana cost. Meh.
This is just bad, right?
It's
like you're countering what they you're countering what they play, and then they can still cast whatever card you had on top to counter.
I mean, you could sit there and use
use top to make it not great, but it's still like you're giving them something for countering their thing.
But usually you're going to counter, like, you save this for someone playing like a Saheeli's Directive or something. Like, I'd rather give them the top card of my library than
let them win the game.
Yeah, you counter something that wins them the game. This is a great card, but just in general, it's not a good way to counter spells. Also, if you don't have top, then this is just a crapshoot.
Yeah, that's just completely random chaos.
It's not really chaos, but it's It's just bad if you don't have top.
Pretty much. So that's all we got for blue. What's your favorite
Oh,
blue card?
also, Swindler's Scheme is one of the set booster
Oh,
cards.
set booster only cards, yeah.
Yep. My favorite card of blue, I don't. In Too Deep is pretty sweet, actually.
Yeah, that's a cool card.
I also like the Extravagant Replication, but
Yeah,
I have my blue red artifacts commander deck, and I think that's going to be sweet in there.
yeah, I think the coolest card to me that I like is the Sinister Concierge, just because I like the artwork, and it's kind of a cool effect.
You like the art for Sinister Concierge?
Yeah.
I can't say I agree. It's just rather bland. But the
I
effect
like it.
is pretty sweet, yeah.
I don't know, card kind of stands out to me. The most powerful is probably the Change of Plans, because it's another
Yeah,
save your
I,
creatures and give them all 1/1s and loot a bunch of stuff.
yeah. No, but my favorite artwork for this blue is probably the Extravagant Replication.
That's pretty cool too with the Aether
Yeah.
Tiger.
Or into Deep is sweet. It kind of looks like he is kind of like shifting.
Yeah, like half ghost.
Yeah. I don't know. It's pretty. A lot of the art in this set is cool. The Cephalid Face Taker has pretty sweet art too.
All right, on to black. First card we got is Bellowing Mauler. 4 and a black for a 4/6 Ogre Warrior. At the beginning of your end step, each player loses 4 life unless they sacrifice a non-token creature.
That's pretty good.
It's pretty good. 4/6 for 5. Lose 4. Need a sack a non-token.
Board wipe and then just play this.
Yeah. Except for yourself, too. You'd sack itself then. But so you need other things to sack.
Yeah, there's easy ways to do that in black, where you like blow up everything but your creatures. It's doable. I'm not saying it's great if you board wipe and then play it because you have to sacrifice it, but uh, there's ways to do it where you save your cards. But it just board wipes it on its own. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's kind of like
It's a slow board wipe,
it's
but
like a mini Shieldred, but they lose 4 if they can't sack.
yeah, I have a feeling you're going to have a lot of people losing 4 life,
Yep.
especially in Commander.
Slowly drain them down.
Yep. Next card is Body Count. It's a 2 and a black for an instant with Spectacle. 1 black. Draw a card for each creature that died under your control this turn.
So this is good because if you play this in response to a board wipe, you're just going to draw a boatload of cards.
Exactly.
Um, the spectacle cost is interesting because you could like do it all out swing so that they lose damage, and then just anything that dies you could draw cards for
Yep.
1 mana.
Yep. I like it. It's a pretty good card.
I like the artwork for this card too. It's just like a dude,
Yeah, pretty sweet.
dude with like getting his head. Is his head cut, or is it just like I can't? Or is it just
Looks
flat
like
on top?
looks like he has a weird head. But
Yeah,
what I'm drawn to is it looks like he has a Thanos glove.
yeah, and it goes. Your friends stay
Infinity
quiet.
Gauntlet.
Yeah, then it goes. Your friends stay quiet. Look what happened to them. You feeling a little more talkative yet?
Yep.
Just like beating him up.
It's pretty cool art for that card.
Next up is the Dogged Detective. It's a 1 and a black for a 2/1 human rogue. When he enters the battlefield, you surveil 2, which is you look at the top 2 cards of the library and put any number of them in the graveyard and the rest on top. And whenever an opponent draws their second card each turn, you may return him from your graveyard to your hand.
I like it.
It's
good
cheap surveil.
It's good for graveyard decks.
Yeah, cheap surveil, and you can keep bringing them back.
Yep, I like cards that just come back after effects.
This is another cool artwork card.
Yeah, he's I don't know, it kind of looks pretty cool to me. Next card is Lethal Scheme. It's 2 and 2 black for an instant with Convoke. Destroy target creature or planeswalker. Each creature that convoked Lethal Scheme connives. Awesome.
Yeah, so most of the time you're going to play this for 2 mana and tap 2 creatures, destroy something, and then loot twice.
Yep.
That's super good to me.
Pretty good to me.
I'd play this in my black deck.
I would play it in a black deck that I don't even have. Build a black deck.
That's going to be the kill spell people want.
Yep.
Next up, we got Make an Example. 3 and a black for a sorcery. Each opponent separates the creatures they control into 2 piles. For each opponent, you choose one of the piles, and they sacrifice the chosen pile. So it's basically going to get rid of half of people's creatures.
Yeah, it's not the worst.
It's not the worst, but it's not the greatest either.
No.
Because they could just be like, well, I really want these, or I really want these.
Yeah. But you might be able to you'll be able to get rid of some problems.
Yeah.
I'm going to plug my headset in here. It's starting to die.
Also, forces them to have to put, like, one of each of their good things in each pile, probably, and then you just sack one of them.
Yeah, so you'll be able to get rid of a problem, most likely, for each opponent. Not horrible. I don't know why you... Like, I can think of ways that you would want a pile to be empty, but...
Yeah, if you want all of your stuff to die.
Yeah. I like the art of that, too, to be honest.
Yeah, the artwork of the set is good.
And the names. Like, I like the names, because, like... it could just be something, like, shorthand, you know. But now this is, like, make an example. I'm making an example of half of your creatures, you know.
Yeah.
Don't play on my battlefield, or I'll make an example of you. Next card is Mari, the Killing Quill. It's 1 and 2 black for Vampire Assassin 3/2. Whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, exile it with a hit counter. Assassins, mercenaries, and rogues you control have Death Touch, and whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, you may remove a hit counter from a card that player owns in exile. If you do, draw a card and create 2 treasure tokens. This is also one of the set booster only cards.
This card's really good, I think.
I think it would be too.
Just by itself, it's a 3/2 Death Touch, and whenever their stuff dies, they get exiled, and then if you hit them with it, you get 2 treasure tokens and draw a card.
Yeah.
And then if you play this as a commander, you can do Assassin, Mercenary, Rogue, Tribal.
Yep, that'll be fun. I'd actually like to do that.
Like, that'd be a cool deck.
Yep. And it's just actually a super powerful card.
Yeah, I think this is really good.
Yep.
Next up, we got the Misfortune Teller. It's 3 and a black for a 3/1 with Death Touch, Human Warlock. When it enters the battlefield or deals combat damage to a player, you exile target card from a graveyard. If it was a creature card, create a 2/2 black rogue creature token. If it was a land card, create a treasure token. Otherwise, gain 3 life.
Interesting.
This is good if you can get it through unblocked a bunch, just because being able to get a 2/2 treasure or life every round is pretty good.
Yeah.
It does cost 4, though, which is a little steep, I think. 3
That's
mana.
3/1 in Death Touch.
Yeah, about 3 mana would be the sweet spot, I think.
A 3 mana would be a super good card.
Yeah. This is like fringe on, do I cut it because it costs 4, or do I play it because it's got a good effect?
Yeah. It'll be played plenty. Our next card is Protection Racket. It's 2 and a swamp for an enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, repeat the following process for each opponent in turn order. Reveal the top card of your library. That player may pay life equal to that card's CMC. If they do, exile that card, otherwise put it in your hand.
So I feel like most of the time the players are just going to take the life so you don't get their card.
Yeah.
But it is an enchantment, so it's every single upkeep. That's really good.
Exactly.
That's really good, though.
Well, it's not every single upkeep, it's every single of your upkeep.
Yeah, but that's every turn. You're either going to draw 3 cards or make them take damage. I mean, unless you hit lands every time, but
yeah, I like that card.
I like it a lot, actually. I honestly would almost rather play this over the Phyrexian Arena, where you just draw a card, because this way you could get 3 cards.
Well, you don't lose life for playing this,
Right.
and it's cheaper than Phyrexian. It's not cheaper than
It's the
Phyrexian
same
Arena,
mana cost, basically. 3 mana.
but Phyrexian Arena is 2 swamps, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
it's
you're
easier
not.
to play this.
It's easier to play this than Phyrexian Arena, and I like it. I don't like Phyrexian Arena, so I like this card compared to it.
This card seems really good to me. I feel
Yep,
like I want to play this in every black deck.
I'd like to get a foil of this because I think that would look sweet with the artwork.
Yeah, big ass hammer.
Yep.
Next up, we got Waste Management. 2 and a black for an instant that has Kicker for 3 and a black. Exile up to 2 target cards from a single graveyard. If the spell was kicked, instead exile target player's graveyard and create a 2/2 black rogue creature token for each creature card exiled this way. So it's 3 mana, exile 2 cards, or 7 mana, exile their graveyard and make a bunch of tokens.
Awesome.
It's very, very good against my deck.
Super good against your Carador deck.
Yeah.
Might have to sideboard that in.
Very good if you have people playing graveyard decks. Otherwise, it's not good.
It's also not good if you don't pay the kick cost.
Yeah, if you don't pay the kicker cost, it's just 3 for exile 2 cards. Like, I'd rather just play something else.
I'd rather not play this and not play something else.
Well, you could play Relic or, like, Surgical or anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, to do the same, like, I'd rather play Bajuka Bog than not kick this.
Yeah.
99% of the time, this is going to be kicked. But then I don't think it's good if you have to pay 7 to do that. Like,
It does cost a lot.
It's a scenario effect.
Yep.
And our next card is Wave of Rats. It's 3 in a swamp for a 4/2 rat with trample. When it dies, if it dealt combat damage to a player this turn, return it to the battlefield under its owner's control. And it also has a Blitz 4 and a swamp cost.
So if you blitz this, hit them for damage, you sacrifice it due to the blitz, draw a card, and then it comes back because of the effect of dealing damage.
Yep. I think that's pretty good.
So blitzing it is good because you can keep drawing and swinging the 4 trample.
I think it's good paying 4 for it and not the blitz cost.
I mean, it's good that way too. You just have to wait a turn to swing because blitz gives it haste.
Yes, true.
It's only 1 more mana to get haste.
Yeah, but I still think it's good. A 4 for a 4/2 with trample.
Yeah, it's good either way.
Still pretty good.
It's a bunch of rats there too. Wave of rats.
The way that the artwork is painted, it makes it look like the rats are giant too.
Yeah.
It's a forced perspective. Like the guy in the back looks like the same height as the front rat.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh my god, it's giant rats.
Oh man, a wave of rats is attacking me. Next up, we got the Writ of Return. It's 3 black. For return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped, but it has Cipher, so you may exile this spell and code it on a creature you control. Whenever that creature does combat damage to a player, you may cast a copy of this card without paying its mana cost.
It's good.
It's good. It sucks that the creature you bring back is tapped.
Yeah, I think it'd be too good if it didn't, though. Just every turn, you just like,
and then every turn you get something back.
Yeah.
So it makes your creature into like an Ink Eyes, right, where you get something back when it hits damage.
Yeah, I mean it's good. It's not great. It could be better. But
it's good, but not great.
Yep. Next card is Xander's Pact. It's 4 and 2 swamps for a sorcery with Casualty 2. Each opponent exiles the top card of their library. You may cast spells from among those cards this turn. If you cast a spell this way, pay life equal to that spell's mana value rather than pay its mana cost. What do you think?
So you pay 6. Everybody flips over the top card. You can cast them all for your life instead of mana. And then if you Casualty 2, you do that again. I feel if you casualty it might be worth it. 2 cards and you can cast them all from everyone's deck. It would be 6 things.
Yeah, I don't.
I mean, it sucks if you whiff into land. You just wasted 6 mana on a creature, but
Odds are you're going to hit something though.
yeah. Or if you just hit all like things not 6 mana worth of stuff, but
Yeah, I don't know. I still think it's pretty good.
it's good. It's
not
pretty good.
not the worst card.
It could be very good, or it could be like, or you could whiff on it, obviously. But it's a good card.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it for black. What's your favorite card in black?
My favorite card, Mari, the Killing Quill.
That's what I'd say my favorite card is too. That would be a sweet commander deck.
Either that or Lethal Scheme. Lethal Scheme is a badass card.
Yeah, I think Lethal Scheme feels like the most powerful to me. That and the protection racket.
Yep. Protection racket isn't super strong. Like, it's good. But Lethal Scheme, 2 black and Convoke 2 for destroy target creature, and each creature that convoked gets to connive. I think that's going to be sweet.
I think that's sweet too.
You'd be able to abuse that, definitely. Plus, the artwork for Lethal Scheme is my favorite artwork of the black cards.
It does look really cool.
Yeah,
bunch of ghostly knives.
Ghostly knives. I like that a lot.
Next up, we got the red cards. We got Audacious Swap. It's 3 in a red for an instant with casualty 2, so you can set creature power 2 or greater to copy it. You can choose new targets. The owner of target non-enchantment permanent shuffles into their library, then exiles the top card of your library. If it's a land card, they put it on the battlefield. Otherwise, they cast it without paying its mana cost.
Yeah.
I really don't like that they get to play something after it.
It gets rid of a problem, though.
Yeah, it does. It's kind of like a Chaos Warp. Or whatever that is. That what that's called? The 3 mana one that does that?
I think so. I don't know. I'm torn on it because it gets rid of an answer, but they could just get it back.
Yeah, I mean, it's good if you, like, say they swing at you with a Blight Steel. It's like, okay, you ain't gonna get killed at least this turn.
Yeah, like you're gonna get rid of a problem, but then they could just replay that problem. I mean, the odds are lower, but
yeah. I feel like in mono red, you're more likely to play this because there's not a ton of like just kill like indestructible things in red.
True. True.
Other than that, like if you're splashing white or something, you're just gonna play something else.
Exactly. Next card is Determined Iteration. It's 1 and a red for an enchantment that at the beginning of combat on your turn, populate. The token created this way gains haste. Sacrifice it at the beginning of the next end step.
That's really good. 2 mana populate every turn?
Yeah.
With haste? Like that's gonna go in that Rhino Precon deck for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Populate deck.
I like it.
Very good in the populate or token deck. Otherwise, it's not playable. But
it is because I mean, you create a token that's a copy of a token creature you control. Well,
right, because you need a token first for it to work.
But there's other cards that aren't in token decks that make tokens.
True.
So it's not bad, but it's situational.
Next card we got is a dual card here. We got Indulge, is 2 in a red for a sorcery. Whenever a creature you control attacks this turn, create a 1/1 green and white citizen creature token that's tapped and attacking. And then in the graveyard, you can cast it because it has Aftermath on the second half, and it's access for 1 in a red. Create a treasure token for each creature you control that dealt combat damage to a player this turn. So most time you're probably going to want to play them both at once because you're going to play 3, swing with your board, pay 3, make a bunch of dudes that are attacking along with it. And then after all of the ones dealt damage, you play excess and draw a card for everything that dealt damage. Or create a treasure token, for everything that dealt damage.
Yeah, you're not going to sit and wait for it. It's going to be the same turn you play these.
Yeah. Just let it be 5 mana play. It's good in like a go wide deck. Tokens.
Yep. Pretty good. Next card is Industrial Advancement. It's 3 in a red for an enchantment. At the beginning of your end step, you may sacrifice a creature. If you do, look at the top X cards of your library, where X is that creature's mana value. You may put a creature card from among them onto the battlefield. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. I like this card.
It's kind of like red polymorph.
Yeah, I like it. I think I'm going to put it in my Goblins deck.
Yeah, it could be good, especially if you have ETB triggers or something. You just sag it, get something else.
Yep. Pretty good.
Next up is Life of the Party. It's 3 in a red for a 0/1 elemental with first strike, trample, and haste. Whenever Life of the Party attacks, it gets +X/+0 until end of turn, where X is the number of creatures you control. And when Life of the Party enters the battlefield, if it's not a token, each opponent creates a token that's a copy of it, and the tokens are goaded for the rest of the game. So you play this, your opponents each get a copy of it. First strike, trample, haster. Your opponent's ones are goaded, and whenever you swing, it gets +X/+0 for every creature you control when it attacks. And it's first strike, trample, haste.
Yeah, I like it.
I feel like it's really good in a token deck because you're just going to have a lot of. It's going to be really big, and because of the first strike trample, they're going to need to block with a ton of stuff.
Yep, it's pretty good. Our next card is Mezio Mugger. I like the art on this too. That's badass.
It's like a big demon guy.
Yep. It's 4 in a red for a 3/3 Viashino rogue creature. Whenever Mezio Mugger attacks, exile the top card of each player's library. You may play those cards this turn, and you may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to cast those spells. It also has Blitz for red and a 2.
So that's really good with Blitz. Otherwise, for 5, it's still good because this is basically a mini. What's the big dinosaur? Atali.
Yep.
It's a mini Atali. So
But
it's a sweet card.
Atali.
It's cheaper than Atali, so you're probably going to play this if you play Atali or if you just want that effect. And just to be able to blitz it for 3 to just get that effect right away, that's cool.
Yep, super good. I like that card. Like I said, sweet art.
Next up, we got Reign of Riches. It's 3 red for an enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, you create 2 treasure tokens. The first spell you cast each turn that mana from a treasure was spent to cast has Cascade.
I like that a lot.
That's really good, especially in a treasures deck, and you just spend a treasure and then you get Cascade.
Yep. I love cascading. Next card is Rose Room Treasure. It's 3 in a red for a 4/3 Ogre Warrior with Alliance. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, create a treasure token. If this is the first or second time this ability is resolved this turn. Otherwise, you may pay X. When you do, Rose Room Treasure deals X damage to any target.
That's good.
I like it.
So you play a creature, get a treasure. Play a creature, get a treasure. Play a third creature, pay X, deal X. Play a fourth creature, pay X, deal X.
Yep.
It's pretty good.
If you have a crap ton of useless mana, just pop this off.
Start pinging off things.
Go to town.
Next up, we got Seize the Spotlight. It's 2 in a red for a sorcery. Each opponent chooses Fame or Fortune. For each player who chose Fame, gain control of a creature that player controls until end of turn. Untap it, they gain haste until end of turn. For each player who chose Fortune, you draw a card and create a treasure token. So red card draw, or you just gain control of a bunch of their stuff and swing at them.
Yep.
I think it's good for only 3 mana. It's better than the other gain control effects for 3. Or 5, or whatever they are.
Yeah, I like it. It works.
You gotta hope they have something big they don't want you to have, though, because I feel like it's better to just draw a card and get a treasure. But if they have something big, you're like, okay, thank you.
Exactly. So. Next card is Spellbinding Soprano. It's 1 in a red for a 2/2 Human Bard. Whenever Spellbinding Soprano attacks, instant and sorcery spells you cast this turn cost 1 less. It has an encore of 3 in a red. I like that.
Yeah, so it's 2 for 2/2. You swing with it, everything costs 1 less. And then if you encore it from the graveyard, you swing with 3 of them, and then everything costs 3 less for a turn.
Yep. If you're playing against, 3 other
4
people.
Yeah, which is average commander pod is 4, I think.
Yep.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, it might be an add-in into a Storm deck.
Next card, we got Spiteful Repossession. It's 4 in a red for a sorcery. Deals damage to each opponent who controls more lands than you equal to the difference. Then create a number of treasure tokens equal to the number of damage dealt this way. So if you're behind in lands, they're all taking a bunch of damage, and then you're getting that many treasure tokens.
It's basically shitty mana, or what is it, land tax.
Yeah.
But it's good. I like this card. It's not shitty, but it's worse than land tax, but it's also not white.
Right. It's I like this card. It's playable.
Yep. This is also one of those set boosters only cards.
Yes, it is.
I like that card. Late payment shall be extracted however they see fit. Excellent flavor text. Our last red card is called Turf War. It's 4 in a red for an enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, for each player, put a contested counter on target land that player controls. Whenever a creature deals combat damage to a player, if that player controls 1 or more lands with contested counters on them, that creature's control gains control of one of those lands of their choice and untaps it.
So you just keep passing your contested lands around to everyone else. Since whenever a creature does combat damage to a player, you take a contested land from them. So you're just going to keep taking people's lands, and you're fighting over the lands. So it really is a turf war.
One of those chaos cards.
Yeah, I don't think it's that good of a card, but it fits the name and it fits the theme of it.
It has cool art.
Yeah.
At the very least. I don't like it.
Yeah, I don't think it's a very good card.
We'll see. I suppose it could be abused, but...
Yeah, so what's your favorite red card?
My favorite red card? I think we all already know.
What?
Maybe we don't. The Mugger's sweet. Mine is actually Reign of Riches, to be honest.
It's a good card. I like the determined... I like the determined iteration.
Yeah, that's a very good card, too. I like Reign of Riches just because I love Cascade.
Yeah, I also like the Rose Room Treasurer. It's pretty cool.
Yep. What's your favorite art of the red cards?
Probably the determined iteration or the treasure as well.
Yeah, I like the Reign of Riches. It's got the dragon up on top. It reminds me of the Hobbit.
I feel like the most powerful is probably Reign of Riches. Just keep cascading things.
Yeah,
the treasure is pretty good too.
Yep. The art for Audacious Swap is actually pretty sweet too.
Yeah. All right, next on to green. The first one is Boxing Ring. It's 1 in a green for an artifact. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield of your control, it fights up to 1 target creature you don't control with the same mana value. Then it has tap, create a treasure token. Activate only if you control a creature that fought this turn. And this is also a card you can only get in the set boosters.
I like that card.
I like this card too. Keep fighting and making treasures.
For 2? Yeah, why not? Next card is Bribe Taker. It's 5 and a green for a 6/6 with trample. When it enters the battlefield, for each kind of counter on permanents you control, you may put your choice of a 1/1 counter or a counter of that kind on Bribe Taker.
It's pretty good. I love the artwork. Big ass rhino dude.
Artwork. This one is. I haven't even looked at the rest of the green cards, but This is my favorite one. I'm keeping it right now. Looks so cool.
Yeah, you need if you have a lot of counters, this is going to be good. A lot of different kind of counters. Like Cathrol deck, this is going to be very good in that.
This is going to be good in my Simic deck. Because it's not even a cast. It's when it enters the battlefield.
Yeah, so you could just play it, and then, you get stuff for every counter on things. Either way, it's 6 for 6/6 trampler.
Yeah. I like it.
Next up, we got Caldea Guardian. It's 3 and a green for a 4/3 human soldier. When it enters the battlefield or another creature you control with mana value 4 or greater dies. Or no, whenever it or another creature you control with mana value 4 or greater dies, create 2 1/1 green and white citizen creature tokens. Then it has Blitz for 2 and a green. That's good. So you can Blitz it and get 2 1/1s right away, or you can just play it and then every time your big stuff dies, you get tokens back.
It works. I don't like the effect.
I think it's good in your Simic deck. Anytime anything dies, you get 2 tokens. As long as it has 4 CMC or higher.
It's just 2 1/1s.
Yeah, it's 2 1/1s.
Yeah.
It's good. I think it's good.
Yeah.
You don't like 2 1/1s?
It's value, but it's 2 1/1s. I'm going to be more mad that I lost whatever I had that died.
That's true. But at least you get something back.
Yeah, fine. It's 2 1/1s. I'll die on this hill if I have. Next card is Crash the Party. It's 5 and a green for an instant. Create a tapped 4/4 green Rhino Warrior creature token for each tapped creature you control. Awesome.
Yeah, especially if you have a way to like tap your creatures, like if you have a Null Mage or a Heritage Druid or something.
Or if you attack with all of them.
Right. Oh yeah, you could just attack with all of them and activate this 2 before they block. And get a bunch of 4/4s.
Yep.
It's good. It's another
it's a good effect.
It's another Rhino guy walking in there. He's got a big drink and he's got a girlfriend. Because the profits from that night barely paid for the damages.
Yep. All the rhinos.
All the rhinos.
Rhino party.
Next up, we got Dodgy Jalopy.
Yep.
It's 2 and a green for a star 5 vehicle. It has trample. Its power is equal to the highest mana value among creatures you control. It has crew 3, so 3 to crew it. And it has scavenge for 3. And you'll exile it and put 1/1 counters equal to its power on target creature.
I like it.
This is a super good vehicle.
How many green vehicles are there?
A couple. Like there's the Chariot, but that's the only other one I can think of off the top of my head.
There's not that many, so getting green vehicle might.
Yeah, that's cool.
Be nice.
It looks like a giant like bug car thing.
Did you notice it's on cinder blocks?
Someone took the wheels.
Someone took the wheels away. Pretty sweet art. Next card is Family's Favor. It's 2 and a green for an enchantment. Whenever you attack, put a shield counter on target attacking creature. Until end of turn, it gains whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player. Remove a shield counter from it. If you do, draw a card.
That's super good.
Green draw cards.
Yeah, so every time you attack, you get a shield counter on it. So if they block it, you just lose the shield counter. And if they don't, you can remove the shield counter anyway to draw cards.
Yep.
That's good. It protects your creatures and draws you cards.
Yep, I like that card. And it's every time.
Yeah, it's any time you attack.
It's not an Yep.
Next up is First Responder. 3 and a green for a 3/3 Vigilance Ogre Citizen. At the beginning of your end step, you may return another creature you control to its owner's hand, then put a number of 1/1 counters equal to that creature's power on First Responder. So keep bouncing your things to your hand and getting a bunch of 1/1 counters. So I'll return my Avenger of Zendikar, put 5 1/1s on this, and then replay my Avenger.
Yeah, I like that card.
It's pretty good.
Yeah. It's good in that scenario for sure. Next card is Killer Service. It's 2 and a green for an enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, create a number of food tokens equal to the number of opponents you have. At the beginning of your end step, you may pay 2 and sack a token. If you do, create a 4/4 green Rhino Warrior creature token. I like that card too.
Yeah, I think that's really good, and I like the artwork
Turn,
too. It's just a rhino like waiter.
well, yeah, because then you sacrifice your food. He gets rid of his food, and then he turns into a creature.
Yeah, he chose
So
to
you
do a 4/4
sacrifice
set for food.
sacrifice your food and turn into a 4/4 Rhino.
Yeah, and I like that the end ability is it's any token. It doesn't have to be the food token. So like you could just have a
Exactly,
1/1 and sack that for a 4/4.
exactly. Or the food token.
Yeah.
Instead of gaining 3 life, you can turn it into a 4/4. Which honestly, as a person who's been playing Magic for a while, I've always been of the firm belief that life is a resource. So I don't necessarily care to gain 3 life for 2 mana.
Yeah, I'd rather get the 4/4 rhino.
Well, there's scenarios where it's fine to gain life, like if you're about to die, but in a lot of scenarios, I'd like to have access to a green 4/4 Rhino Warrior token.
Next card is Next of Kin. It's 2 and a green for an enchantment aura. Enchants a creature. When enchanted creature dies, you may put a creature card you own with lesser mana value from your hand or from the command zone onto the battlefield. If you do, return Next of Kin to the battlefield attached to that creature at the beginning of the next end step. So your creature dies, you get something that costs less, and then you reattach the Next of Kin on it, and then that dies, you get something else back. Keep
That's
going.
super good.
This is super good, and I like that you can play something from the command zone. So you play it on a big thing, you eventually get your commander out.
Exactly.
So
That's really good. Our
that
next
is a
card
really
is,
good card.
yep. The artwork's pretty sweet for it, too.
Yep.
Our next card is Park Heights Maverick. It's 2 and a green for a 2/2 human soldier with Dethrone. Park Heights Maverick can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less. Whenever Park Heights Maverick deals combat damage to a player or dies, proliferate.
Yeah, so you tag, you're gonna get a one. If you tag play with the most life, you're gonna get 1/1 counter, and then with this combat damage, you get to put more counters on it to proliferate.
Yep, and it
It
can't be
can't,
blocked.
it can't
Well,
be
it
blocked by
can, but
weak things.
creatures with power 2 or less.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
It's a pretty sweet card.
Next up, we got Scepter of Celebration. It's 2 and a green for an artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +2/+0 and has trample. And whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, create that many 1/1 green and white citizen creature tokens and has a quick cost of 3. It's pretty good. Keep
Pretty
swinging
good.
in with some trample, make a bunch of tokens.
Yep, I like it. Pretty sweet art again, too. There's a lot of cool art in this set.
Going to the next page.
Yeah, we'll go to the next page. Did my call out for this one?
Yep.
Lost track of Terror here. Our last green card is Vivian Stampede. It's 4 and 2 greens for a sorcery. Each creature you control gains Vigilance, Trample, and Melee till end of turn. Well, melee is whenever a creature with melee attacks, it gets +1/+1 till end of turn for each opponent you attack this combat. At the beginning of the next main phase, this turn, draw a card for each player who was dealt combat damage this turn.
So all your creatures get Vigilance, Trample, Melee for 6, and then if you happen to deal damage to people, you get to draw up to 3 cards.
Yep.
It's all right. I don't know. It
I
costs
like it.
6.
Yeah.
Like, I'd almost rather just play like Overrun for 5.
Yeah. That's for sure.
So that's the end of the green cards. What's your favorite green card?
My favorite green card? I don't know. It's got to be Bribe Taker. The artwork is so cool.
That is a really cool card.
And I like his ability.
I think the Next of Kin is really good. I like that.
Next of Kin is good.
I like the Killer Service as well, and the Bribe Taker.
Yes, there's a lot of good green cards here.
Yeah, all of these cards are pretty good. I don't say. Did any of them seem like really busted to you?
No.
Yeah, the most powerful is probably the Next of Kin, but you can make an argument for any of these probably.
Yeah, some of them have weaker effects, but yeah, a lot of solid cards in green this set.
All right, next we're on to multicolor. So the first multicolored card we got here is Denry, Kiln Editor in Chief. It's 2 white blue for a 2/2. With when it enters the battlefield, with your choice of a 1/1 counter, first strike, or vigilance counter. And whenever a non-token creature you control enters the battlefield, if it has counters on it, put the same number and kind of counters on that creature. So you put a counter on this, and then anytime you play another creature, it gets those counters.
Yeah, that's a thing.
It's pretty good.
In my blue-white deck.
Yeah, it seems pretty good in there.
Yep.
No.
Okay, so our next card is Oscar Rubbish Reclaimer. It's 3 in a blue and a black for a 3/3 human wizard. With this spell costs 1 less to cast for each different mana value among cards in your graveyard. Whenever you cast a non-land card, you may cast it. Whenever you discard a non-land card, you may cast it from your graveyard. What do you think of that?
It's pretty good. It's really good. It's really good in like Nekusar.
Yeah.
Just cast all the cards you discard.
Exactly. I like that a lot. It's going to get a lot of value.
It's good in like a wheels deck.
You're usually going to cast it for just a swamp and an island too.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you try to cast it on turn 5 and there might not be stuff in your graveyard, but that'd be a good card.
Yep. Next up, we got Strix, the Carrier of Flame. It's 2, a black and a red for a 3/3 flying haste Phoenix. At the beginning of each end step, if a creature card left your graveyard this turn, target Phoenix you control deals damage equal to its power to any target. And whenever another Phoenix you control dies, you may cast Strix, Carrier of the Flame, from your graveyard. So this feels like a Phoenix tribal deck. Commander.
Phoenix Tribal. Oh, yeah.
Phoenix
Everybody's going to be out there making Phoenix Tribal decks.
Yep, all of the Phoenix Tribals.
I might make a Phoenix Tribal deck.
Do it.
That'd be fun.
Would be.
I don't know how much support Phoenixes have, but...
Well, you just play every red-black Phoenix you can find. And then just staple-y red-black cards after that.
Fill the board with a bunch of changelings. Like, these are also Phoenixes.
There you go.
All right. Yeah, that's a good card. Next up, we got Jolene the Plunder Queen. 2 in a red and a green for a legendary creature, Human Warrior 2/2. Whenever a player attacks one or more of your opponents, that attacking player creates a treasure token. If you would create 1 or more treasure tokens, instead create those tokens plus an additional treasure token. Sacrifice 5 treasures, put 5 1/1 counters on Jolene the Plunder Queen. I love this card.
Yeah, treasure token commander if you just want to do green-red. Also, its effect of whenever you create treasures, you make extra treasures is really good. So you can
might want to edit that out. Yeah, no. I would love to make this deck. I think it'd be sweet.
It's a sweet card.
Plus, you got that Infinity Gauntlet.
Yep.
Jolene's taking all the gold.
All the
gems.
Next up, we got Bess, the Soul Nourisher. 1 green and a white for a 1/1 legendary creature, human citizen. Whenever 1 or more other creatures with base power 1/1 enter the battlefield of your control, put a 1/1 counter on Bess. Whenever Bess attacks, each other creature you control with base power and toughness 1/1 gets ++X till on a turn where X is number 1/1 counters on it. So this is like a commander where you play 1/1 tribal. Just all your creatures are 1/1s.
James, this is going in your deck. Knock, 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 knock.
1/1 tribal. Could be cool.
Token deck.
Token deck too, yeah.
I mean, straight up.
But I'm just thinking like you play the Fang of Sageki, one for 1/1 Death Touch, a bunch of stuff like that.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Just one tribal.
Yeah.
Probably be pretty cheap deck to make too.
Probably.
That's a pretty sweet card. I like the art on that too.
Yeah, that's cool.
Next card is Life Insurance. It's 3 a white and a black for an enchantment with Extort. Whenever a non-token creature dies, you lose 1 life and create a treasure token.
Seems good.
Seems
Whenever
good.
your creature dies, you get a treasure token and you can extort all your spells.
Yep. I like it.
Next up, we got Cryptic Pursuit, 2 red-blue for an enchantment. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell from your hand, you manifest the top card of your library. Whenever a face-down creature you control dies, exile it if it's an instant or sorcery card. You may cast that card until the end of your next turn. So you manifest your cards, you can normally cast the creatures up. But if it dies and it happens to be instant or sorcery, you can exile it and cast it until the end of your next turn.
It's okay. I don't really
makes manifesting semi-good, at least.
Yeah.
You can still cast the cards.
I mean, I don't really like it, but it works in what it works in.
I mean, you could do like instant sorcery tribal, and then every time you cast one, you're getting a 2/2 creature, and then when it dies, you'll be able to cast that instant sorcery later. So you could just play like cheap instant sorcery deck.
It's not horrible, but it's situational for sure. I like the art.
Yeah, the artwork is better than the card, in my opinion.
Yeah. Next card is Grime Gorger. It's 2 a black and a forest, or a black and a green, swamp and a forest, however you want to say it. It's a 3/3 horror with menace. Whenever Grime Gorger attacks, exile up to 1 card of each card type from defending player's graveyard. Put a 1/1 counter on Grime Gorger for each card exiled this way.
So it's like a giant goyf, but it eats up the graveyard. It's a goyf turned into a horror creature because you attack and you're like, all right, I'm going to exile a sorcery, an instant, a creature, and then put that many 1/1 counters on it.
Yeah.
And it has menace. It's pretty good.
It's not. I don't want to say it's better than Goyf ever.
No, but it's not. It's not better than Goyf, but it's just cool. It's a cool card.
Goyf can lose. Say you exile all graveyards. Goyf is just a what? 2/3.
0/1.
0/1.
Yeah.
This you exile shit from their graveyard.
Yep.
And you can't. I mean, yeah, your creature can die, but
it's pretty good.
It doesn't lose power and toughness.
Right. I think you play this, people are gonna use a kill spell on it because they don't want you to eat up their cards.
Yeah, most likely.
Next up, we got the Prosperous Partnership. It's 1 red and a white for an enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, you create 2 1/1 green and white scissored creature tokens. Then it has tap 3 untapped creatures you control, make a treasure token.
That's pretty good.
It's a good card.
Yep.
Token deck, and then you make some treasure tokens.
A lot to do with citizens in this deck, or this set. Pretty sweet. Be fun to find the cool combos that are made.
Heck yeah.
Next card is Agent's Toolkit. It's 1 and a forest and an island for an artifact. That's a clue. So Agent's Toolkit enters the battlefield with 1/1 counter, a flying counter, a death touch counter, and a shield counter on it. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may move a counter from Agent's Toolkit onto that creature. 2 sacrifice Agent's Toolkit, draw a card.
So it's a clue that has counters on it that lets you move counters to other things. Now we know why that other card lets you enchant a clue, because you can enchant this and make it have no abilities except for the clue part.
Yeah. I would want to play it on this because this is a godly card.
I think it's opinion. Good, yeah. 3 mana, you're going to get to put different effects on like 4 different things.
I'm putting this in my Simic deck so I can have a flying Blightsteel.
Yeah. Or a shield counter on something, or Death Touch, or 1/1.
Or
then when you use up all the counters, you just sack it to draw a card.
And then return from your graveyard. Mm-hmm. Bring it back and do it again. But can you imagine flying Blightsteel?
Yeah, you just die to that.
I mean, you get around it. Anyway. Good.
I like the artwork on this Agent's Toolkit, too.
Ah, yeah, it's pretty sweet.
Next up, we got Kamiz Obscura Oculus. It's 1, a white, a blue, and a black for a 2/4 legendary creature Cephalid Rogue. Whenever you attack, target attacking creature can't be blocked this turn. It connives, then choose another attacking creature with lesser power. That creature gains double strike until end of turn. What the heck? Good. So you attack with a creature, give something unblockable, connive, then your another attacking creature, so you attack with 2 things, gets double strike. It's kind of crazy. So it's only 4 mana.
Yeah, and if you attack with something bigger, you attack with this too. This becomes a 4/4. Essentially, you know what I mean. But right, it becomes 4 power. So yeah, that's pretty good. That's why it has a lower power card.
Mm-hmm.
So you might choose this, but you could choose other cards to use within that scenario too. So
yeah,
it's pretty sweet. So the next card is Obscura Confluence. It's 1 white, 1 generic, a white, a blue, and a black. For an instant, choose 3. You may choose the same mode more than once. First mode is until end of turn, target creature loses all abilities and has base power and toughness 1/1. Second ability is target creature connives. And then the third ability is target player returns a creature card from their graveyard to their hand.
So I feel most of the time you're going to make 2 things a 1/1 with no abilities and then return something probably.
I don't know. Making a creature connive, 3 creatures connive would be good. Draw 3 cards.
Yeah, but for 4 mana, I don't know. I feel I would be more likely to play this as a combat trick to make the creatures 1/1s and then block them and then bring something back. Yeah. That's just my play style. But yeah, you could also just loot 3, draw 3.
Well, the nice thing is you get to choose your options. You can choose 3.
Yep, choose whatever mode is good.
Yeah, like it's value for whatever spot you might need it in.
Very flexible card.
Yep.
Next up, we got Tivit, Seller of Secrets. It's 3, a white, a blue, and a black for a 6/6 legendary creature Sphinx Rogue with flying and ward 3. And whenever it enters the battlefield or deals combat damage to a player, starting with you, each player votes for evidence or bribery. For each evidence vote, you investigate. For each bribery vote, you get a treasure token. And while voting, you get to vote an additional time.
Love the card, hate the artwork.
Yeah, the artwork is kind of...
It's like a cat with a dude's face.
Yeah, it's Sphinx with a dude's face, which is weird.
I don't like it. I do not like the artwork of this card. I will search for whatever person I need to... I will commission an artwork change for this card.
It's a good card though, like 6 for 6/6 flying ward 3. It's gonna be hard to deal with it, and then you get to vote twice, and you're gonna get treasure tokens or clue tokens no matter what out of it.
Great card, horrible artwork. It tilts me super hard to see this artwork, but great card. I like it. Next card is Angelo the Painter. He is 1 swamp, 1 island, and 1 forest. Not a forest. Actually, it's a mountain. Just
Grixis.
one of each Grixis color. He's a 1/3 vampire assassin with Death Touch. The first instant or sorcery spell you cast each turn has Casualty 2.
That's good.
I like it.
Grixis spells matters.
Yep. It'd be fun to play.
Next up, we got the Maestros Confluence, the Grixis one. It's 3 blue, black, red. For a sorcery, you can choose 3. You may choose the same mode more than once. Return target monocolored instant or sorcery from your graveyard to your hand. Target creature gets -3/-3 until end of turn, or goad each creature target player controls. I'm not super psyched on the goad, but the -3/-3 and the return of instant sorcery is good.
Hey, but it adds some support to goad decks.
Yep.
Shout out to our buddy Nama.
He wants to play gold.
Make that goad deck. No, it's value. Same as the other confluences. I like this one a little bit less than the Obscura right now, but it could be good.
Right now, I actually kind of like it more. I feel like it's good in this Angelo the Painter deck, which is probably the same deck it comes in.
Probably. The next one is Parness the Subtle Brush. It's 2 and an island and a swamp and a mountain. For a 4/4 vampire wizard. Whenever you or a permanent you control becomes the target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, counter that spell or ability unless that player pays 4 life. Whenever you copy a spell, up to 1 target opponent may also copy that spell. They may choose new targets for that copy.
So the bottom part is not super great because it allows your opponents to copy, but only if you copy things. So if you copy, they're only copying your copy. But the first part, that they counter unless they pay 4 life, is good. They have to pay 4 life for anything else, basically.
It's pretty good. I don't like it as a commander.
Next up, we go
into, but
yeah, I wouldn't play it as a commander. He's good in the Angelo deck, I think. That's probably what he comes in. I bet you Angelo is the commander.
What's the secondary?
Angelo is?
No, Parness probably would be the secondary.
Oh, right, yeah. So next up we got Henzi, the Toolbox Tor. It's black, red, and green. For a Devil Rogue legendary creature, 3/3. Each creature spell you cast with mana value 4 or greater has Blitz equal to its mana cost. And Blitz cost you pay costs 1 less for each time you've cast your commander from the command zone this game.
I love this one. This is my favorite of those. I think all the commanders are going to be these 3 cost cards. And
that's a really good effect.
Yeah. It's going to be one of those
blitzing things. You're just going to play big things and play it for less to blitz it so that you sack it at the end step. So it's like, whatever. Exactly. I played my commander 3 times. Now I can play my 6-drop for 3 mana with haste.
Exactly. I love it.
It's a good card.
Yep. So next card is Riveteers Confluence. It's 2 and a black and a mountain and a forest for a sorcery. Let's choose 3. And we're back to the confluences. You can choose the same mode more than once. The first mode is you draw a card, you lose a life. The second mode is Riveteers Confluence, deals 1 damage to each creature or planeswalker you don't control. And the third mode is you can put a land from your hand or graveyard onto the battlefield tapped.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one. The middle one is, like, unless you're putting it as a token deck, 1 damage doesn't matter that much.
Yeah. The middle one is weak unless you're in that scenario.
Yeah, but this first one and the last one are good. And the middle one could be good if, like, all their stuff is 3 power or 3 toughness or less. You could just do it 3 times and just blow everything up.
Yeah, true.
Next up, we got the Beantown Bullies. It's 1 black, red, green for a 4/4 legendary creature, Ogre Devil Warrior. With Vigilance and Haste, it has tap. Target opponent whose turn it is puts target non-legendary creature card from your graveyard onto the battlefield under their control. It gains haste, and goad it. At the beginning of the next end step, exile it. So your creatures go on your opponent's board, and they have to attack someone other than you with it.
That seems interesting.
It's interesting for a goad deck, for sure.
That would be fun. I like that card a lot.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Next card is Vazi Key Negotiator. It's 2 and a black and a mountain and a forest for a 3/3 human advisor creature. Has haste and tap. Target opponent creates X treasure tokens, where X is the number of treasure tokens you created this turn. Whenever an opponent casts a spell or activates an ability, if mana from a treasure was spent to cast it or activate it, put a 1/1 counter on target creature, then draw a card.
Also, this is one you can only get in the set boosters.
Yep, it definitely is.
I think it's okay. I hate that it gives your opponents treasures, but then you need them to spend the treasure to put 1/1s on stuff and draw a card.
Yeah, so it's like this is I think this was that card that I was like, you could make a group hug deck out of this.
Yeah, it's pretty good in a group huggy.
It'd be interesting. It wouldn't be quite so group huggy. It could be more political, I think,
Yeah.
actually. Like, hey, I'll give you treasure tokens if you don't attack me.
Yeah.
You know.
Right.
You could definitely make a politics deck out of it. It could be fun.
Next up, we got the Caribreti Confluence. It's 3 red, white, green sorcery. Choose 3. You may choose the same mode more than once. Create a token that's a copy of target creature you control. It gains haste second at the beginning of the next end step. Exile target artifact and enchantment, or creatures target player controls get +1/+1 and gain first strike until end of turn. It's pretty good. You can remove some stuff. You can make some copies of stuff. You can buff your dudes. It's pretty versatile, dude. Or card.
Yep, and all the any confluence card is going to be versatile.
Yep.
Our next card is Kit Kanto, a Mayhem Diva. It's 1 and a forest and a swamp, forest and a mountain and a plains for a 3/3 cat bard druid. When Kit Kanto enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 green and white citizen creature token. At the beginning of combat on each player's turn, you may tap 2 untapped creatures you control. When you do, target creature that player controls gets +2/+2 and gains trample until end of turn. Goad that creature.
So you're giving your opponent's creatures 2/2 trample, and they have to attack someone other than you. It's kind of weird.
Yep. Weird, but seems pretty good. Goad is getting a lot of support.
Yep. Next we got Fabine. Fabine. Boss is confident.
I'd go with Fabine.
3 red, green, white, so Naya, 3 Naya colors. For a 3/6 legendary creature cat advisor. Creature tokens you control have haste. Parlay. At the beginning of combat on your turn, each player reveals the top card of the library. For each land card revealed this way, you create a 1/1 green and white citizen creature token. Then, creatures you control get +1/+1 until end of turn for each non-land card revealed this way, then each player draws the card. It's pretty good. All your tokens have haste. If you play token deck, all your stuff has haste, and then you're going to make dudes during combat, so you can tackle them right away.
Yeah, seems pretty good. Standard token commander.
Yep.
Next card is, I think this is our last confluence. It's Broker's Confluence. 2 and a forest and a plains and an island. For choose 3, choose the same mode more than once. Proliferate, target creature phases out, or counter target activated or triggered ability.
So far, I think this is the best one.
100%.
Phase something out, counter an activated or triggered ability, or proliferate. That's good.
Yep, I like this one a lot.
Next up, we got Cross Defense Contractor. 1, a green, a white, and a blue for a 2/4 legendary creature cat advisor. At the beginning of your upkeep, put a shield counter on target creature an opponent controls. Whenever you put one or more counters on a creature you don't control, tap that creature and goad it. It gains trample until your next turn.
I like that too.
More goad support.
More gold support. You might have to play 5-color gold if you use all these cards, though.
Yeah, 5-color goad.
Yep. Next card is Perry the Pulverizer. Love the art for this card.
Big rhino, dude.
Big rhinos. It's going to cost 1 a forest to play as an island. It's a 3/3 Rhino Soldier. When it enters the battlefield, put a shield counter on target creature. Whenever Perry attacks, target creature you control gains trample on XX until end of turns, where X is the number of different kinds of counter among permanents you control. I like this card.
Seems good.
Seems good. It's going to be fun to play.
So that's all the multicolored cards. Which one seems like the best one to you, or what's your favorite one?
I don't even know. There's multicolor starts to get different. I love the Agent's Toolkit.
Agent's Toolkit's sweet.
Yeah, Jolene, I like. That could be fun to play.
I kind of like Angelio and the Henzi Toolbox too. I also like the Rhino's sweet art.
I think when I first looked at these, Henzi was the coolest one that I thought was there. But after looking through all of them, I have some other options. The Naya seems a little bit weak, in my opinion.
Yeah, unless you're just playing tokens.
Yeah. Broker's Confluence, godly card.
Yep. All right, so on to artifacts. We got the first one is Currency Converter. Costs 1 mana. Whenever you discard a card, you may exile that card from your graveyard. Then it has an activated ability for 2 and tap it, draw a card, discard a card. So 2 and tap it to loot. Then it has tap, put a card exiled with Currency Converter into your graveyard. If it's a land card, create a treasure token. If it's a non-land card, create a 2/2 black rogue creature token. So it allows you to loot and then put the card the next turn into your graveyard to get something.
Yeah, it's pretty
Better
good.
off if you have other effects of discard, and then you can just throw them in the grave for treasures.
I think it'd be good in like a mono black discard or sacrifice deck. Next card is False Floor. It's 4 generic for an artifact. Enters the battlefield tap. Creatures enter the battlefield tap, and it's 2 and tap. Exile False Floor. Exile all untapped creatures. Activate only as a sorcery.
So it's just a worse disc.
Basically, it's very
like, because it's weird because it enters tapped, all the creatures enter tapped, but then it only kills untapped things.
Yeah,
so it saves the tapped things.
I mean, if like you could put this into a gold deck where people.
I guess you could, yeah, and you could play this and then like play a bunch of stuff, so it all comes in tapped, and then the next turn, oh yeah, your shit would be untapped anyway at that point. So you want to play it all the next turn, you could play stuff and then exile everything.
Yeah, I don't know. It's meh.
Yeah, it's just a meh card. Next up, we got Gavel of the Righteous. It's 2 mana equipment. At the beginning of combat on your turn, put a charge counter on Gavel of the Righteous. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 for each counter on Gavel of the Righteous. As long as Gavel of the Righteous has 4 or more counters on it, the equipped creature has double strike. The equip cost is pay 3 mana or remove a counter from it. So you could technically equip this for 0 if you just remove a counter.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty solid.
Yeah, it's going to slowly every single turn make your creatures bigger, bigger, and bigger.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the best, but it's good.
I mean, because this ain't going to get removed, so it's going to keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger, even if you don't put it on a creature.
Yeah, it's solid.
I think once you hit 4 or 5 counters and you're getting +4/+4 and double strike, that's pretty good.
Yep, I like it. Our next card, I actually love this card a lot, is Smuggler's Buggy. It costs 4 generic for a 5/5 vehicle with Hideaway 4. Whenever Smuggler's Buggy deals combat damage to a player, you may cast the exiled card without paying its mana cost. If you do, return Smuggler's Buggy to its owner's hand. And it has Crew 2. I love this card. It's going to my artifact deck.
Yeah, so it's a 5/5 vehicle with Hideaway 4. And then if you get the Hideaway, you get to play it again and Hideaway again. Normally the Hideaway is just one and done. This time you keep doing the Hideaways.
Yep, I like it a lot.
It's pretty cool. Next up, we got Threefold Signal. 3 mana for an artifact that when it enters the battlefield, you scry 3. And then each spell you cast that's exactly 3 colors has Replicate 3. So when you cast it, you copy it for each time you cast the Replicate cost. And this is a card you can only get in set boosters. But this card seems very good if you're playing just a 3-color deck and you can keep replicating stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I like it. There's not a lot of cards that I've seen that are like, oh, that's absolutely horrible.
Yeah, these are all pretty good. Playable cards.
It's 3 colors matter, but still, it's if you're playing these decks, it's good.
Yeah.
Yep. And our last card that we have to talk about today is Weathered Sentinels. It's 3 generic for a 2/5 wall with Defender, Vigilance, Reach, and Trample. Whenever Weathered Sentinels can attack players who attacked you during their last turn as though it didn't have Defender. When it attacks, it gets 3/3 and indestructible till end of turn. What?
Yeah, so it's a wall that it's a 2/5 Vigilance, Reach, Trample, and then if someone swings at you, you can swing at them with a 5/8 indestructible Vigilance, Trample, Reach.
What?
For 3 mana.
Insane.
It's really good.
I love this card.
You gonna put this in all your artifact decks?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if anything, like, it could use. You could use. It could use flying. If it had flying, it'd be even way better. Put flying on it and slap a mythic tag, and it's good to go.
If you put this in a wall deck, you could just make it not have Defender.
Well, exactly.
And then you could just swing with a 5/8 trample.
Exactly. I love this card. Is awesome. And the artwork is sweet.
Yeah, that is cool.
I'm gonna get myself a borderless foil full art. That card.
I think this, the Buggy, and the Righteous Hammer are cool.
The Gavel of the Righteous, you mean?
Yeah. I just call it. I'm going to call it Righteous Hammer. That's probably I'm going to play it and go Righteous Hammer.
Yep. No, that's pretty spot on. I would say the same thing.
All right, so that's the Commander cards. Again, thanks for listening to the podcast. This is a video podcast, so you'll be able to see it on YouTube. Please subscribe if you want to check out our future videos. So have a good one, folks.
Thanks for coming out. Thanks for watching. Thanks for supporting.